Hosting for the Dice Tower is generously provided by Cool Stuff Inc. Cool Stuff in stock at coolstuffinc.com. Thanks for your support. The Dice Tower, episode 439.
2011, 5 years ago.
Welcome to the Dice Tower, a podcast about board games and card games, and especially the people who play them. On today's show, we kick off 2016 by unveiling our new Kickstarter campaign. We answer questions from the mailbag, and the Wayback Machine returns as we set the dials for 2011 and our top 10 games from 5 years ago. I'm Eric Summerer, and here's your host, the Han to my Chewie, Tom Vassell.
Now, I like Han Solo, but
Yeah?
I don't know. He's never been like one of my favorite characters. I like him, but I've always liked Chewie much more.
Well, Chewie's taller, so maybe you should have been Chewie.
That's right.
All right.
You should have said the Chewie to my Lando.
Oh, okay. I can go with that.
Yeah, you're a smooth-talking guy who betrays people.
Wait, what?
In games, I guess.
But, I get redeemed in the end, so it should be fine.
Well, we don't know that.
But that's true. He could show up later.
Anything could have happened in this new future.
Who knows?
For all we know is he is like the main bad guy.
Maybe.
That would be a hilarious twist.
That would be an amazing twist. He's behind it all, pulling the strings.
Cloud City is now a Death Star type thing.
There are a lot of question marks. Where did this First Order thing come from? I don't know.
We're not going to spoil the movie, folks. Don't worry about it.
No. But it is very good, and I liked it, and I smiled a lot.
I think we said that last time, but we were lying because we hadn't seen it yet.
It was a speculative smile, but now I can confirm that I was smiling.
I do like it a lot. It was very fun. I like fun movies, so
Yes.
I'm very happy. Also, I like movies where I like all the characters.
Yeah.
That's the kind of movie I can get behind.
The soundtrack is excellent.
I've only... that really irritated me because I was deliberately trying to listen to the soundtrack and I kept getting distracted by the movie.
By the movie itself? Well, you can get them on these CDs or even downloads for those
For a
newfangled
moment there, I
things.
didn't know what terminology you were using, the CD thing.
Yeah.
But that download makes more sense.
Yes. It's very good. I really like Ray's theme. Big thumbs up. Since we were talking about music a few episodes ago, it's well worth getting the soundtrack.
I plan to get the soundtrack at some point.
It was in my stocking.
Well, folks, welcome to 2016.
Whoa, it's the future.
It's always the future when we do these shows. But 2016, even for us recording it, is only a few days away. And the new year brings new things. Will 2016 be as good as 2015? We have no idea. And yet people keep asking us. They're like, so what do you think is going to happen in 2016? So I just make up a bunch of speculation that I have no idea if it's going to be true or not.
Sure.
However, today is, if you're listening to this the day this goes up, I believe it's the 5th of January?
I think that's the plan. Yeah.
So that means yesterday our Kickstarter launched.
What?
Yeah, now this is exciting for us, also a little bit nerve-wracking. The Dice Tower Kickstarter is something we run once a year. If you listen to our show, you'll notice that we do not ask for money much at all. We do not have advertisements here on the Dice Tower because the majority of our income comes from a Kickstarter that we run each January. Now, this is not something that you should feel obliged to do, but we are just asking people, if you think our content was worth it, if you think our content provides a service to you, then we ask that you consider it. So let's talk a little bit about the year 2015.
Mm-hmm.
In 2015, I said we were going to do stuff better, not necessarily more, but we did do more. We did 1,576 videos.
Wow.
Which was an increase from the 1,200. Well, I have 2 more people helping.
Okay, that helps.
Sam and Z. And we did 1,066 reviews.
Wow.
And yet still people are like, why haven't you reviewed this? Well, we're trying.
Over 1,000 reviews last year. That's amazing.
They all didn't come out in 2015. But I would say a good percentage of them did. Well, I guess if you think about it, probably the first 200 are still from 2014. You're still catching up on all those games.
I guess that's true, yeah.
We did, I think, 50 episodes here of the Dice Tower.
I didn't count.
Well, it's either 50 or 51. I don't know how many weeks we skipped. We do take a break every once in a while. Although, for the life of me, I can't remember the last time we have.
I think we discussed this a few episodes back and said, I don't think we did take a break, but somebody pointed out that we took a week off or two at some point. So it's probably 50 episodes. At some point, we get overwhelmed to go, we're not getting something recorded. Well, of those 50 episodes, our episodes have been downloaded this year 2.6 million times. Oh my! That's all together. Yeah, that includes the long tail of our older podcasts too. Wow! But it is exciting. Yeah, we never thought we would break 100,000, let alone my goodness, a million. And on the video side, we had 40 million views. No, unbelievable. Yeah, we had 21 million views. Oh, that's slightly less, but still, wow. It went from 40 to 62. And that's apparently, for some reason, YouTube keeps track of minutes watched. And so I calculated out, because minutes is useless to me. Yeah. And people have spent 388 years watching us. What? Which is a waste of time. But that's not all one person. That would be impossible. Thanks for that clarification, Eric. Yes, that's not all one person, or even a family. If you think about it, it could not even be 388 people, because that would be problematic. That was during the year. We have totally bound up 388 people with content. They're just taken out of the workforce and everything. They're just watching our stuff. We expanded Dice Tower News this year. We got our website up and running. We did some more live playthroughs on our channel. Just recently, this is very recent, in the past 3 or 4 weeks, we've moved to 1080 HD on our videos. We expanded our convention coverage, I think, quite a bit. We covered very extensively both the Gamma Trade Show and Origins. Yep. And we were able to get up all the videos for those the week after. Mm-hmm. And we also did live shows at Essen, Gen Con, Origins, and BGG Con, and Dice Tower Con. That's 5 live shows we did. Wow. And the biggest thing of all, of course, this year was having Z and Sam come on board as full-time employees. Mm-hmm. So, this year, 2016, I plan to do more playthrough videos. You might have seen us do videos of Pandemic, Legacy, and Time Stories, but I plan to do more of the pre-recorded playthrough videos. We're going to do a live playthrough, and since we're on that subject, this Thursday, if you've hopefully listening to this episode early enough, you can watch us do a marathon gaming thing live on video, and nice. We're forcing Eric to help. Yeah, I'm actually going to be on the other side of the screen this time instead of watching you guys and yelling at people. Ooh. If Eric yells at someone, I'm going to claim that as a point. Unless it's me, then he loses a point. Just keep pushing. You can see where that Hulk moment's going to be. Eric will get there. We'll pull out Citadels. All right, is everyone ready to play? I will play. If you guys really want to play Citadels, I will play it, because I do need to try it again. That could be a stretch goal. Well, I'm just trying to figure out if I even have Citadels. I think I do. Oh, well, you don't have it? Okay. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? We got Jason. Bad. We have every game. It's fine. It's all right. We tried. We're also highly planning to, one of the main things we want to do with the Kickstarter, okay, so just as a clarification, the money for the Kickstarter supports me, Sam, Eric, Robert, and Z, although Eric and Robert are part-time, me, Sam, and Z are full-time. Mm-hmm. And we have other stretch goals to add other people on. Go check the Kickstarter to see what our goals are in that regard. But yes, it does pay for our salary, but we also, Kickstarter takes a cut of the money. We have to buy a lot of supplies each year, usually audio and video and all sorts of things. We pay for going to all the different conventions, which is not super cheap. Mm-mm. And just all different things that we need. What we want to do this year with the Kickstarter money is really up our audio. Now, Eric's audio is ridiculously good. Well, thank you. Except at conventions. We're working on it.
Right. What we like to do is get some microphones, some wireless microphones that not only connect to our cameras, but also can connect to sound systems. And then once we have that going, at conventions, Eric will be able to plug his recorder into the sound system, and it should be very even balanced.
Right. The difficulty is that we often get into these spaces about 15 minutes before we start a show, and we haven't been able to get the equipment to sync with their systems or even try and use their systems in order to cover everybody, because usually they'll only have a couple of microphones and we often have multiple people talking. And so the system we've been using has worked out pretty well, but as we have more and more people on stage, it's become more difficult to cover everyone evenly.
Right. So my goal is to try to fix that this year. I want to get 6 of those portable microphones, and just hopefully that will work well for us. Like even Gen Con said, hey, how much time do you need to get in? I was like, 30 minutes. I need 30 minutes ahead of time.
Yeah.
Or at least let me sneak in sometime when no one's there and mess with it.
Maybe. Yeah.
So this year we're planning to increase our audio. We're also continually trying to increase our quality in general, like the video quality and, even audio-wise. We want to have even better convention coverage. Our goal currently, this may or may not happen, is to do Gamma Trade Show live. So that would be interesting. And just at the different conventions, we're working to make it ourselves more accessible and just to make them as structured as possible. So if you are interested in this, if you want to be involved, then check out our Kickstarter. You can find a link to it on our website, dicetower.com, on our forums, on Dice Tower News. We're putting that link everywhere. And spread the word. Even if you can't support us yourself, tell other people about it. And while our favorite people are the people who contribute to our show and ask for nothing in return, because that's really helps us out more than anything else. At the same time, we do have some amazing promos and cool things, rewards for people who back our Kickstarter. Amazing, to the point where Eric's going to want one of them.
What?
Or 2. Well, let's see. Let's since they're already up, I can talk about these. Well, Eric, you like Imperial Settlers, right?
Yeah.
Well, one of our promos is the Dice Tower Tavern. And this goes in the middle of the table in Imperial Settlers, and every turn you add a wood and a stone to it. And on your turn, you can spend one of your people to flip a card over from your deck, and if it's the right color, you get all the resources on the tavern. So it's a bit of a gamble, right? But and you might not even be interested in it on the first turn. On the second turn, when there's 2 stone and 2 wood there, you're going to consider it more, right?
Yeah.
And when there's 3 stone and 3 wood, you know someone's going to try it at least. So there's a bit of a gambling flavor to it, which I like, but at the same time is an actual useful promo that I think people will use, and it's easy to throw into the game. So there's that, and there's lots of other cool stuff there too. So we do appreciate everyone talking about it. If you check out Board Game Breakfast, I'm going to actually be starting a contest where you can get exclusive Dice Master cards that you can get nowhere else.
Oh.
Like custom art Dice Master cards. It's really incredible stuff. So check out Board Game Breakfast for that. So that's enough of that. We'll mention this over the next, several weeks and such, because we do want this to succeed. I would like to keep doing what I'm doing, and again, we like to make this better all the time. But at the same time, we don't want to be talking about this all year round. So when the Kickstarter's over, we're done talking about that, and we get back to games. Except
when is the Kickstarter over, Tom?
The Kickstarter ends on February 1st.
Okay.
So January is the month to get involved in that. Every little bit counts. Every lot bit also counts. Just give us what you think we're worth. That does not mean you can take money from us. Because there's always that, how much money you cost me, Vassal?
Yeah, you owe me.
I didn't make you spend the money. I just made it seem like you were going to not have fun if you didn't. So anyway, we are going to talk about games right now.
Let's do it.
What do you got?
Well, here's one from Cryptozoic called Mod X, and they actually sent this as a review copy just a couple weeks ago, but I believe, according to the copyright date on the bottom, this is not necessarily a new game. It says copyright like 2013. It's been around for a little while, but Mod X is a abstract strategy game for 2 to 4 players, and everybody has little X-shaped pieces, and they go on a grid, and you simply take turns placing these X pieces on the board. There are also some neutral pieces that have been spread around at the beginning.
Oh, Sorry, I was trying to think of what this game was, and I realized this is that game that looks like it came out in 1970.
Yes, it's very retro colors. It's black and orange and yellow and I forget what the fourth color is, but it's a very mod, I guess, mod style color palette. It looks older than it is one thing. And anyway, you're replacing these X's. There are some neutral X's, and you're trying to make patterns, either 5 in a row vertically or horizontally or diagonally, or in a cross pattern or in an X pattern. Each pattern has 5 of your pieces in it. And you take turns in blocking each other and doing all of this. And eventually, somebody manages to score one of these shapes, and then they remove their X pieces from the board and place their square scoring markers on the board. Now, other players can build on top of those. They still count as points for the player who scored them until somebody scores another pattern over those scoring pieces, and then you get to cover those up with your own scoring pieces. So not only are you trying to score these patterns, you're trying to remove or eliminate the points that your opponents have on the board. You can play this as a partnership game. If you're playing with 4 players, you can play it solo with 4 players, one person against all of the others. And you play until somebody has a certain number of points based on the number of players. I think it's a 10 for a 4-player game. It's 12 if you're playing in pairs. And that's it. When you score using those neutral pieces, you don't get a point for the space that the neutral piece was on, but then you get to move that neutral piece somewhere else on the board. And as long as it doesn't complete some sort of pattern, unless you manage to get a pattern just out of neutral pieces and then you win. I just can't imagine how that would ever happen, but it's possible. If you manage to do it, you win. Anyway, it was fun. It's certainly very dry because it's an abstract game. There's no theme whatsoever. It has that cascade nature. Like, you can't fully understand what's going to happen when you remove your pieces from the board. It may open up. You blocked somebody 3 turns ago, but now you just removed that piece because you scored something, and now they can score something. So it has that cascade rolling effect, a little bit of chaos. It was fun. I liked it. It may not stick around. It's probably not going to stick around. But my family really enjoyed it. We brought it out at a family game day, and it was certainly a hit. Mod X, MOD space X, from Cryptozoic.
Yeah, I'm always willing to try these new abstract strategy games out because they're sometimes really fun. I just don't get why they have to look like they're from the 70s.
That's a choice. It's a choice.
I'm not always sure it's a choice.
Really?
Well, I mean, it's not like it's a unique thing. It's not like, oh, this abstract strategy game is from the 70s. That's different than other abstract strategy games coming out. No, they always look like they're old. I don't get it.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe they're trying to
going for
appeal to like
simplicity.
60-year-olds or something.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Dojo Kun.
Ooh.
Now, this is a really entertaining worker placement game. In this game, you have a master and you have a student who is going to participate in a martial arts tournament.
Mm-hmm.
In the game, there are 2 tournaments. The game has a halfway point where there's one tournament, and then at the end, there's another tournament. And you can submit up to 2 fighters per tournament. You start with 1 fighter who's okay, but you're going to be using worker placement to increase that fighter's stats, to get more fighters to come join you, to give your fighters special abilities, to do other things. And then eventually, when you get to these midway points, your fighters will go, they'll be paired off. I mean, you can even like spend workers to like give yourself a better position in the tournament. Mm-hmm. Like pick who your opponent is in round 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then you fight your way through by rolling dice. And the combat's just a little bit fiddly.
Yeah.
It's not too fiddly. It's just the slightest bit, I thought. But then and you can also bet on other people when they are going on their way up. And then you get points for winning bets, but mostly for having your fighters go to the very top.
Mm-hmm.
Extremely entertaining. All the different fighters are parodies of famous movie fighters or real-life fighters.
Yep.
And it's unique and interesting, and I was really pleased with it.
Yeah, I liked this one as well. I got to play it at Essen, and I only a half game. Didn't get to play through 2 tournaments, just through 1 tournament. It was, as many worker placement games are, difficult to do what you want with the few actions that you have. And trying to upgrade a character, upgrade one of your fighters to be able to do what you want them to do, and it's a little bit of resource management as you're collecting chi tokens and stuff like that, which you can then spend in a combat, or you can give them abilities that will trigger if they get certain symbols on the dice. The combat, you're right, is a little wonky because there's like punches and kicks and blocks, and the way they connect to each other is not intuitive. It's a little tricky to just understand how they're all going to match together.
It's not terribly bad. I don't want people to think that it's terribly bad, but it's just not. I mean, it's essentially like, how many jumps did you get? Okay, now all those jumps go away, but you subtract from your opponent's kicks.
Right.
And then how many kicks do you have left? Those are subtracted from your opponent's blocks. And how many blocks do you have left? They're subtracted from your opponent's hits. Whoever has the most hits wins.
Right. They sort of work down on this tree, and the 2 things cancel, or one cancels another, which then cancels another, which then cancels another, and then you match them up at the end.
It's not too bad. As long as one person at your table understands it, you'll be okay.
Yeah. But it was fun. I did enjoy it. And the theme is really cool, and you just can't help, humming "You're the Best Around" during the tournament scenes.
I wasn't humming that because I wasn't using the Karate Kid. I was using the lady from the bride from Kill Bill.
Oh, yep.
And who else did I have? One of the guys from Street Fighter. So
yes.
A lot of Hayuken.
Yes.
Hayuken!
Well, I didn't care who I had. I was going to hum that theme song no matter what.
Not if you're fighting that guy. If the Karate Kid shows up against you, you can't hum his theme song.
Well, that's true. That may be why I lost.
That's Dojo Kun.
Next up for me is Best Treehouse Ever. This is a new one from Green Couch Games. It is a drafting game. You're building a treehouse, and you start with a little treehouse stump, I guess, and you are trying to collect groups of colors. There's a certain set that's artistic rooms, and then there's another one that's sports-themed rooms, and then there's another one that's food-related rooms.
Yeah.
And you are drafting these things and adding them to your tree. And you have to add them not only so that they match up with other groupings. So if I have my first yellow room, I can put it wherever I want. But after that, any additional yellow rooms have to connect to the first yellow room I put out. And they sort of branch out. You start with only 1 trunk, and then you can put 2 cards above that, and then 3 cards in the next level, 4 cards in the next level. So they're branching out like a tree. You also need to maintain the balance of the tree. So if your tree is leaning to the left, it has more cards on that side, the next thing you have to do is add a card to the right side of the tree, which can severely restrict what you're able to do. You may really want to get another blue card, and you have the blue card in front of you, but if the blue cards are only able to go in that direction of the tree, well, then you can't do that. After each round of drafting, there are scoring cards, and each player is given sort of a modifier card to those scoring cards. So there's one that's instead of being worth 1 point per purple room, now it's worth 2 points per purple room. Or another one that says, nope, we're not even scoring blues this round. Haha, you've been building all those blues? Not happening. And then you score and earn points each round. And work your way through 3 rounds of this, and that completes the game. There's also an easier version, which I've played with my son, that makes the scoring element just a little bit simpler. You only score 1 color each round and not all of them. But I found it to be a fun game. It's a good introduction to drafting as a family game, and the illustrations are adorable. The different rooms. There's like a jungle gym, and there's an inflatable bouncy house, and a laser tag room. It's just a lot of fun to construct your house, and even if you do terribly, as I did, I still ended up with like mini golf in my treehouse, which is fun. And big thumbs up as a family game. Best treehouse ever.
Did you find that your son was putting rooms into his treehouse because of what they were?
I actually didn't find that because he latched onto a particular color really early and just decided to build the heck out of that one and just ran away with the score. And I foolishly let him do it because I was exploring other avenues.
Well, you could have made that one worth 0, though.
The easy version of the game doesn't have the negation cards in it. It has...
Oh!
So I couldn't totally block out the reds. I could, he would say, we're scoring reds, and I would say we're scoring blues, and that would be it for the preliminary rounds. So, yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, my kids really got a kick out of the, oh, look, I put a taco stand in my treehouse. Aren't you jealous, Dad? I'm like, yes, I am very jealous.
Yeah.
My treehouse is balanced and proper, and yours is fun.
Is kooky crazy and has tacos.
All right, well, let's talk about Spirits of the Rice Paddy. This is a game from Ape Games, and it is about having a rice paddy, which you are going to be growing rice and then selling it at the market. You will do so by, it has kind of a way of bringing water through different gates to the different paddies, and excess water will get, goes to other people's paddies, and they funnel water down too. So hopefully it's rained a lot. Hopefully there's a lot of water, and hopefully you're not at the bottom end and just not getting any water. Now, this game's called Spirits of the Rice Paddy because there's apparently fantastical things that can happen in this game.
Whoa.
In fact, I found that you can even grow rice without water, something I did not know it could happen.
That's
or
amazing.
You can have magic water. There's all sorts of things. See, at the beginning of the first round and at the beginning, I think, of the fourth round, you're going to draft some cards. And as you draft these cards, you're going to realize that these cards are going to give you these huge, cool advantages that no one else has. It's so awesome. You're so much better than everyone else until you see the cards they picked. And then you're furious because their cards are so much better than yours. And I love it. The cards are amazing. They give you special powers when you play them. Sometimes it's a one-time use. Sometimes it's something that stays in effect for the rest of the game. Each card has a number, though, and the highest number of people are going to be going last. And again, going last means you might not get all the water you need. And then there's things like sending pests and weeds into your opponent's rice paddies, which is a rude thing to do. And I would not do it, but my opponents did it to me.
Sure.
But there were also ways to clean that out, too. It was a good thematic worker... it was a worker placement game. But the coolest thing was just drafting these cards and playing them. I love it. It gives me that same feeling Marco Polo did, where it's like, this is unbelievable. Well, wait, so is this. Oh, so is that. That's how I felt. I mean, Melody in one game got a combo where she didn't need water to plant rice or to harvest it. So she just decided to not need water anymore. And she had these giant rice paddies, which would be very hard to run with water, but since she didn't need water, because the person next to her let her have those cards in the drafting phase, Jason, and she won. But at the same time, I was really happy where I was because I didn't need anyone to harvest. My stuff just harvested by itself. It was magic, and I really liked the game. It's a strong theming. It's unique. It felt different, and I love those cool special powers you can get.
Cool.
That's Spirits of the Rice Paddy.
Last one to talk about is a new co-op game from Tim Fowers. It's called Burgle Brothers. You are a team of criminals, I guess, and you are
No, you are a team of Robin Hood-like people.
Yes, of course. You are
who have fallen on hard times.
Virtuous scamps, let's say.
We go.
You are a team of thieves, regardless of your motivations, and
it's Ocean's 11.
You're trying to break into a building with multiple floors. There's a basic version. You can play with just 2 floors, but the standard setup is 3 floors. They all have walls in between these room tiles, and they all start out face down. You don't know what you're doing, but you do know that you need to get to a safe and find the exit on each floor to work your way up to the top of the tower and escape off the roof with your loot. You have a team of players with different special abilities that you get to draft at the beginning, and each character even has 2 abilities, so you get to pick your favorite person and then go, I want this power. Here you go. On your turn, you get 4 actions. You can move around. You can peek from room to room so you know what you're doing when you get in, or you can simply charge forward. Of course, you're going to take the risk that you will set off an alarm and draw the guards to you. At the end of your turn, the guard on that floor is going to move, and on the lower floor, they start out moving a lot slower than the guards on the upper floor, but as the game progresses, those guards are going to start moving faster. If they reach you, you have to give up one of your 3 stealth tokens, sort of your lives for the course of the game, and if you lose those, if any player loses all 3 of their stealth, they give up the entire team. They squeal like a cat, or mouse, or whatever. They squeal like a rodent of some sort, and give up the whole team, and you lose. So you want to avoid that at all costs. So you are moving around trying to change floors, and only the guard on your floor is going to activate. You're trying to find the safe. When you do find the safe, you need to roll dice matching the other tiles. So all the tiles have numbers on them, and the row and column that you discover makes up the combination of the safe. So you then need to roll dice to achieve those numbers, unlock the safe, get the loot, and then carry the loot out of the building. And you can spend actions to add more dice to be more efficient, but at the same time, if you just stand there forever, the guard is going to find you. I found it to be very exciting, very tense. There's a real cooperative feel because you're trying to help each other out, draw the guards away from someone who's not going to be able to get out of the way before the guard sees them. Plus, there's some random events. If you only spend 2 of your 4 actions, you can draw an event. Sometimes those will help you save your neck at the last minute. Other times it's going to make things worse. Very cinematic. And I really enjoyed it. We lost pretty handily, but I'm excited to try it again.
Yeah, I cinematic is a correct word. I'll start with my one negative of the game, and that is the box. He decided to use the same box that he used for paperback. And this game is not really 3-dimensional. You put all the floors next to each other, although he does sell a wooden contraption.
You can make it a skyscraper, yes.
It becomes a skyscraper, and it works really well, except that you actually, and I'm pretty tall, but you have to stand up to do anything on the 3rd floor. So in one of our games, it was a stand-up moment at the end of the game, but that's because we were
You
on
had to
floor.
stand up?
Yeah. So anyhow, so he doesn't include this contraption. You can get it separately, and if you do, then you got to store it separately than the game. Right. And even without this contraption, that game barely fits in that box.
There's a method.
I mean, I had to sit there and slowly, carefully put everything in the box so that it would all fit in. And I know he's trying to do the same size box stuff, but this is one of those times where a Ticket to Ride size box would have been good.
Perhaps.
I don't like games that rattle around in boxes, but I don't like games where I feel like the box is going to blow apart if I put a card in wrong. And this is one of those. And what if he wants to add some expansions?
Right, there's no room for expansions in here.
That drove Jason crazy, because he's very OCD, was the fact that the game comes with stickers.
Yes.
To put on the different characters, but they give you 2 stickers for each.
Mm-hmm.
And on the cards, you can play with 2 different special abilities.
Yep.
And each ability comes with the one. So Jason's like, well, I'm going to use this one, so we'll use that sticker. I'm like, yeah, but does that mean you can never use the other special ability again? I have to get rid of some of these stickers. I'm not going to. He's like, well, sticker one on one side and one on the other side, but that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
It was, I don't know.
Yeah. So the characters have sort of it's like the street clothes version of them. And then there's we're all dressed in black and ready for our mission version of the illustration. Right. And what I did was I sort of picked the one that I liked the best, that looked the coolest. So I've got some of the guys in street clothes and some in the black outfits. And I kept the other stickers because I think he's planning to make more meeples available as like an add-on or a bonus.
What?
A promo.
I might have got rid of my extras.
Did you get rid of yours? So I don't know. I'm keeping them for now. It is sort of a weird decision to have given you the option to dress them up in the different costumes, but then you don't have enough meeples to dress up the entire crew.
I smell Kickstarter stretch goal. That sounds what that. I bet you that's what it was. I haven't even gone to look, but I bet you it was. If we reach a certain goal, we'll give you another alternate outfit for all the players. Okay, so anyway, that's kind of my one negative. Other than that, I love the experience. I think we lost our first game in maybe 10 minutes or less. It was. You have to. There's a couple things that you have to do. The game has this kind of quirky time thing. The guard on your floor only moves when you're on it because, just like the movies, stuff only happens when you're on screen.
Right. Time only moves forward when you're on screen.
So what that means in the game is I think you really want to get somebody onto another floor if possible. Because if there's multiple people in the game, then the guard is going to move 4 times each level.
Right.
And if you're playing a 4-player game, which means there's a good chance you're going to get snagged because you won't get to move. So you want to get people on other floors as soon as possible.
Right.
I thought some of the special abilities were much more useful than others. And the game does lend itself to a very strong alpha player syndrome. If you have someone who's going to take charge, they're going to. They're going to say, oh, you should go here, you should do this, which I guess is thematic.
Yeah, I guess.
But I do love the theming. I do like the game. It has a lot of unique things. The guards are scary. They're moving. You can see where they're moving to, but you don't know where they're moving after that. It has some cool artwork. And other than the little things I mentioned, I thought it was a really fun cooperative game.
Yeah. I liked it.
Yeah. So that's that. Let's move to questions.
Mr.
Vassal.
Tom Vassal, will there be a Dice Tower theme park?
If you were a die, what sort of die would you be?
Will there be a Vicious Fishes movie? And now the Dice Tower will authoritatively, definitely, possibly, maybe answer your questions.
Tom, which way to the bathroom?
Jonas says in one of our latest episodes, and many times, that you said that Caverna is so much better than Agricola. Well, I've said that. Have you, Eric?
Yeah, you said that. I haven't said that.
Okay. And he doesn't understand how I could think that because one of the things I like are games with variable player powers and asymmetry as well as variety. And he says in Caverna, every player always gets the same setup and the games are always the same. You can go with the exact same strategy every time as long as no one blocks you. In Agricola, you have endless variability and the cards and the players have to adapt and use different strategies depending on the cards they get. You also have the possibility to use drafting, which is also something you say you love. So why do you like Caverna better?
Good question.
Yeah, that is a good question, but this is sometimes where the game itself is better than the sum of its parts. I would not have actually minded had they brought the card system from Agricola over to Caverna. I will say that the card system, for as fun as it was, especially when you draft, although when you draft cards at Agricola, you're talking a long draft. Because people are going to sit there and carefully think about it. The fact is, though, the cards in Agricola are unbalanced. They just are. And you have to draft or else some person could get a better setup than everyone else. The whole thing's just a little wonky, made even more wonky by their endless churning out of more of these cards.
Yeah.
But let's say you're just using the basic set. Even then, they're like split into easy and interactive. And
Right, yes.
So I like the card thing in theory, but it just was kind of a little bit wonky. So while that's cool, I will strongly disagree that every game of Caverna is the same. Because I play Caverna a lot, and I try a different strategy every time. Well, sometimes I try the same strategy, and you say, if no one else blocks you, well, are you playing Caverna then? Because I'm always getting blocked. And the different buildings that you can build, there's a lot of buildings you can build there. There's a lot of them, and I might say, I'm going to build that building just like I always have, and then someone else builds it first. So then I have to adjust. There's a lot of buildings. I think there's a lot of variability in Caverna. But the main reason I like Caverna better than Agricola is because it's just much more forgiving. Agricola, feed your people or they'll starve. Guess what? They're probably going to starve. In Caverna, if you have someone starve in that game, I used to say I never saw it happen, but I've now seen it happen once. But it's really hard. You have to work to make your people starve. It's just it's a better, more streamlined game. And even though I like variability, there's enough of it in Caverna that I don't feel like I'm missing anything. I still wish they'd make an expansion for the game, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen.
Sean from Long Island has a question about the Game of Thrones LCG 2nd Edition. Why haven't we seen a review of this game? I'm not asking when you're going to cover it, just asking if you intend to cover it, says Sean. Second, do you tend to avoid reviews and coverage on LCGs? They seem to get less attention from you. If so, is it because you're not a fan, or because they come with complications that don't appear in standard board games?
I think Sean is answering his own questions here.
Pretty much.
Well, the Game of Thrones 2nd Edition just is on my pile still. It's going to happen at some point, but it just wasn't one that I was super eager to play. And the whole thing about LCGs for me, I can't speak for Eric, is just that a board game's one thing. You can play a board game and you can see where it's going. An LCG is much more involved. And usually an LCG doesn't show its full glory until you get some of those packs and do deck building and stuff. And that's like reviewing CCGs. Mm-hmm. And that I just don't have the energy or time to follow up on all of them. I follow some things. I follow Marvel Dice Masters. And I follow... What else do I review? We review... That's pretty much it at this point. I'm behind on like everything else. I haven't reviewed the latest monsters and stuff from Descent, or the stuff for Imperial Assault, or the stuff for X-Wing or the Armada. There's just so many of these systems, and to try out the new stuff is a lot of work. It really is, and if you don't know what you're talking about, the people who are really good at the game will just scorn you.
Right. It's that these are often lifestyle games. They require a lot of focus and attention, and just when you get to reviewing one particular set, the next one is already hot at its heels. And if it's almost like you'd need a dedicated LCG reviewer that was covering one or two systems, something along those lines. But when you have all these other standalone board games to worry about, you just can't focus that much attention on a game that's not going to be done. You know, and you almost have to wait till it's fully complete before you can get a full picture of it. We just don't have the bandwidth to cover something that isn't done yet.
Fred says, do online stores receive games before retailers can have a crack at them? I pre-ordered a Z-Man game for my local game store 1 month. It's been in stock since the month after that, and yet I'm still waiting to get my copy. Are the excuses they give a bunch of bunk, or are retailers really handicapped that bad by their distributors? Retailers are handicapped by space. So this is what happens. Let's say a popular game comes out. Online game stores, well, I'll speak for Cool Stuff here because I know what they do. They study games. They really do. They look at games. They say, is this game going to sell well? Is it going to do well? It is. We're going to order a lot of it because they have the warehouse space to store that.
Yeah.
Game store owners don't study this stuff as well, as most of them don't. Most of them, as far as I can tell, kind of buy randomly, or they buy things that look cool, or things that they've heard people in their store talking about. Now, if they are, even if they do study up on the thing, they can only carry a few copies of each game. So let's say Pandemic Legacy, amazing game, and it's going to sell huge. So the online store orders 400 copies of it. Your local store orders 2. Those 2 sell out immediately. The 400 will take longer, so it's in stock at the store, online store. You say, hey, I want this game. Your local store like, sure, I'll get it for you. Oh, it's sold out everywhere. And they can't get it from the distributor, while the online store had the warehouse space to stock up tons of them. So that's how that works. It's an economics of scale, and it's tough for stores in that regard. And I saw one store owner complaining online, like, I can't order more Pandemic Legacy because, you know, what's wrong? Why can't I do that? And I was like, dude, that game was being hyped for a year. I don't know what else I can tell you. You should have ordered more copies of it. But it's hard for a store because if a store orders, if an online store orders 300 copies of a game, and then it slows down in sales, you know, it's not as popular as they thought. They just have a blowout sale, and they blow them all out for cost or a little bit above cost, and they're okay. For the local store, he orders 10 copies of a game. That's a lot of his money he's tying up.
Right.
And if no one buys that, then he's like, oh, okay. He can sell them for cost, but then he loses money, essentially, because he still had to pay for the shelf space and the electricity, and it's just tough for retailers. It really is.
Now, Fred seems to be talking about a situation where he pre-ordered a game. He told the game store, I want this game. Yeah, I will order it for you so that it's here on day one. And the online store got it before the brick and mortar store.
Well, I don't know the brick and mortar store. Distributors do not give it to the online stores first. They send it to all the stores at the same time. As far as I know, there's no special treatment to an online store. And so I'm going to look suspiciously at the guy who runs the store and say, did you really pre-order that?
Perhaps. It could also be, I mean, there are multiple distributors, and maybe the one that they're ordering from didn't get it whereas another one did that's shipping to the online stores. There's a lot more cogs and gears that go into this process.
Let's say he did pre-order it. So he pre-ordered it, but the online store probably pre-ordered it 6 months earlier than that.
That's true.
So when it came time, they're like, well, these are the pre-orders that came in first. These are going out.
That makes sense. Ron has 2 questions. The first is about the international community that listens to the Dice Tower. Tom said something about being amazed by how many people at Essen came and said hi. And Ron thinks we underestimate the fan base we have in Europe and would really like to see us record Shut the Door at a future Essen spiel in different languages from native speakers who are at Essen. Didn't you try and do this once?
We did do it. I still put international Shut the Doors on my videos every once in a while.
Well, then that's a great idea, Ron.
I didn't do it at 2015 Essen, but I did it at 2014 Essen. I got like 15 different languages.
Mach die Tür zu! Ferme la porte!
Ron also asks me, where has Mice and Mystics gone? A while back, Eric was raving about this game on every show, but now I don't hear anything about it anymore. Has Mice and Mystics fallen for you? Are you still excited about the Downwood Tales? This is an old letter. And the upcoming Tail Feathers? Yes. So, Mice and Mystics hasn't fallen in my estimation. I still love the game, but it does not hit the table as often because of the time frame. A typical session of Mice and Mystics for me and my son takes about 2 hours. And when my son switched schools, the schedule changed a little bit. And whereas we used to be able to do like an afternoon session of Mice and Mystics between when he got home and dinner time, we don't have that amount of space anymore. And so smaller games hit the table more often now. We still love the game. Downwood Tales is very cool. We're just barely scratching the surface on that. And Tail Feathers, I actually mentioned last week in our recap of 2015, hasn't hit the table because it's not cooperative. And I've shown here, look at the cool birds. Let's play the new Mice and Mystics game. He's like, yeah, but I want to play something where we're all working together. So either I need to figure out how to spin it as a cooperative game and say, well, we're all playing the good guys, and then we'll just do some robot stuff for the bad guy. I don't know. I'm not sure what we're doing yet. But he hasn't been as interested in Tail Feathers despite the license. But Downwood Tales is excellent, and I do need to try and push to get it to the table more often.
All right, last question comes from Joseph, who says, guys, I like to wash my meeples and buff my dice.
What?
Do you ever clean your game components so that they have that new game shine? What about after playing with someone that was coughing and sneezing all game?
Ooh.
I have never washed my games.
Well, you have to wash them after you drench them in milk, right?
That's different.
No, I guess maybe if somebody was coughing and sneezing a lot, I might wipe the stuff down with some Purell or a Clorox wipe or something. But
wait,
I'd be afraid of damaging the components.
Have you ever done it?
I've never. I don't think I've ever done it.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I mean,
although I wonder, after playing at a convention or something with a library copy, I do feel like I do carry some Purell around with me when I'm at a convention to scrub down after playing, with a bunch of people I don't know or with a copy I don't know. It's smart.
Yeah, but I mean, does this stuff like survive? Like, let's say I play with someone who's coughing up a storm, and I put the game away and I bring it out a couple months later. Are those germs still there?
I'm no virologist. I think something can stick around.
I don't care. I have kids. For crying
That's
out
true.
loud.
My house is a petri dish.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, are you fist bumping at conventions too?
I'm not. I'm still shaking hands. And I
Actually,
just try and wash my hands.
Some guy emailed me and said, there is a time to fist bump someone. Maybe they're holding a game or, I'm like, yes, I know that. If my hands are all covered with dirt or I'll fist bump somebody or, I'm carrying a pile of stuff. Of course.
A head nod or a wave works too.
Especially when you have kids. I have shaken a lot of people's hands with my wrong hand.
Mm. Oh, yeah, because you're carrying one of the children?
Right, or you're carrying something else. You're like, just shake my left hand.
Yeah.
It's just how it works. All right, are you ready for the time machine, sir?
Ready to crank it up.
Let's get in.
5 years.
It's a Dice Tower Top 10.
The Dice Tower's Top 10 list is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc. Cool Stuff Inc. Cool stuff in stock at coolstuffinc.com.
All right, folks, 2011. This is a top 10 list that Eric has definitely done with me before.
Indeed, I was on the show back then.
I believe in 2011, I was back in America when we recorded this list. It seems possible, probable.
Yeah, so
yes, definitely.
The Korean phase was 5 years ago, or more than 5 years ago.
It was. 5 years ago was, wow. So 2011 is a year that I remember, and as I was looking at the year in general, it was a very strong year of gaming.
Yes, it was. I think many of these show up on my top 100 currently.
I think this might have been the year where I kept going, this is the greatest year ever. I think that may be it.
That may be, yes.
And I think a lot of the games from 2011 have stayed strong, although my top 10 shifted dramatically. I made it without looking at the other one.
I did as well, and there was some significant change.
Yes, for me also. I haven't, let's see, honorable mentions, a couple things. Yomi was very high on my list, and that dropped off because of another game that's on my list. But Yomi is fun, and it's a good game, but I just haven't played it as much recently. I want to give a small shout out to Conquest of Narath. Because that was a really cool game. It was like a Axis and Allies, but with Dungeons and Dragons. Pretty cool game, but as with all Wizards of the Coast board games, poof, here, poof, goodbye. Poseidon's Kingdom was just reprinted this year. But
and was on my short list for sure. It was almost on the list, and then I had forgotten about a couple and had to rejigger things, and so it's probably 11 or 12 for me.
Yeah, same here. That one just missed it. Super Dungeon Explorer, I was really pumped about. Other games like Arcadia Quest and such have replaced that one for me, but it was still cool when it came out. And then the biggest game that we're going to get garbage about, because we didn't put on our lists, is Mage Knight, the board game. A board game from WizKids about Mage Knight, which people are like, whatever. Designed by Vlaada Chvátil. What?
Yeah.
Okay, it was a really big deal, and I really did enjoy the game. In fact, this was the first game I taught at the very first Dice Tower Con.
Really?
Yeah. It's a solid game. I still think it's very good. It's just pretty in-depth and puzzly, so I don't bring it back to the table nearly as much as I used to.
Yeah, that's similar
Like
to where
ever,
I am
actually.
with it. I like it, but play length is an issue, and just having to explain it to other players, I just haven't gotten into that groove, and it hasn't hit the table very often. I actually have one of the expansions waiting to give a whirl, and I haven't done it yet.
Well, you're never going to, and you know why? Because this year they're coming out with a Star Trek version of it.
They're doing what now?
You did not know this?
No.
Yes, Andrew Parks, you might know who he is.
Yes.
He is designing and redesigning the same thing with a Star Trek theme on it.
So you're going on away missions?
I don't know exactly how it works. I just know that it's a Star Trek theme based on the popular Mage Knight board game.
And running into aliens and stuff?
Again, that's all I know.
You get to use a transporter and phasers and stuff?
Let's get to number 10.
Number 10.
My number 10 is going to show up very soon on Tom's list, so I'll simply remove the dice that he knocked out and draw the bag again.
If I recall correctly, my number 10 is the biggest secret find that Eric and I found, and I know this because it's higher on his list.
Yes.
Number 9.
My number 9 is the Castles of Burgundy, Stefan Feld game. This was my number 6 the last time we did this list. I still really enjoy this one with the rolling 2 dice and then using those 2 numbers to acquire tiles, place them on your board, claim various things. There's a lot of things to worry about. It is a Stefan Feld game, but it's easier to grasp than many of the other, say, deeper ones that I don't have on the list. I could bring this out. I could bring this out with family members and not lose them completely. I like the Castles of Burgundy. My number 9.
I just realized that we have more crossover on this list than I think we've ever had.
Really? Ever? There's a lot.
No, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games on both our lists.
Okay, that actually may be a record.
And Castles of Burgundy was on my short list.
Ugh.
You know, I like it, but you know, it's a Feld, and it has a certain kind of like, I'll play some of these once in a while, and so I play Bruges when I'm in the mood to play a Feld.
Okay.
My number 9 is Eric's number 10, which is Quarriors. Now, Quarriors has dropped down dramatically for me, and that's mostly because of Marvel Dice Masters. Gives me exactly what I'm looking for, but still, a deck building game with dice, I'm in. I didn't care what it was. That's all you had to tell me, and I was in. Mm-hmm. Custom dice, monsters, fun to play. I really, really enjoyed Quarriors.
Yeah, this was my number 5 on the original list. It's my number 10 now. Again, you said Dice Masters has sort of replaced it because it has a more expanded gameplay, but Quarriors can play more people. What really has brought this back to the forefront recently was we've got the app, and I brought it out with the kids just recently and said, hey, have you guys played this? Let's try this. And both the 4-year-old and the 7-year-old were interested. And I said, well, if you like the app, let me show you my box of fun, and showed them all the dice and the ooh. So I think this is going to get some play time very soon with the family. Quarriors.
Number 8.
Number 8 for me was my number 10 last time, and Tom's number 10 this time. That's Sentinels of the Multiverse. The story Tom was alluding to is wandering around Gen Con in 2011 and coming across this booth with some very enthusiastic people behind the counter at Greater Than Games, and just explaining what made this game fun, what made it a good value, and you really should get this game. And we both did, and it's a blast. You've got the separate decks for each character, and they all feel a little different. So if you have a hero that's the speedy guy, you're working through your deck quickly, and you get bonuses for doing so. And it really is. It's an exciting change to play each character. And same with the different villains. They operate differently. And then they came out with a bunch of expansions, and I even haven't been following lately, but there's just so many options when you put them all together. Very, very fun game. Terrific example of the superhero genre, Sentinels of the Multiverse.
We got some cool Sentinels of the Multiverse in our Kickstarter, some promos. This is like back in the dark ages. This was 5 years ago. That's it, but it shows how much we've changed. Where when we went to Gen Con, we didn't know all the games.
Yeah,
Nowadays,
that's true.
we're like
This
really
was a surprise.
prepared. And I remember it was like, oh, wow. Everyone was like, what's the surprise of the con? And we actually had an answer for them. Nowadays, stop asking us that because we don't know. Because we're usually not as surprised, right? But that was a surprise. I was like, wow, this is really good. All right. My number 8. Spoiler. It's higher on Eric's list.
Number 7.
My number 7 is not on Tom's list, is it?
I like this game, but not as much as you.
Yes. Eminent Domain was my number 3 before. It's fallen a little bit, but it's still one of the great examples of deck building being used as part of a machine and not just the main mechanism. You're drafting rolls, and as you do these rolls, you become better at them because you will acquire one of these actions, another card that makes that action better for you. And so as you work your way through the deck, the more you do certain things, the better you are at them, the more powerful you are at them, and you're trying to take over different planets, earn points that way, do a little bit of trading and earning of resources. A really fun game, even better when you add the expansion into it, but a blast. And my number 7, Eminent Domain.
My number 7 is not on Eric's list. Yeah. Okay, that's First and Goal, a football dice game, which up to this point, until 2011, my favorite football dice game was Pizza Box Football, which is very fun. But First and Goal from Steve and Glenn made up teams, and you would both play a card, and then those cards would tell you how many dice you rolled. And I liked First and Goal, but what really shot it up higher on my list, I don't believe it was even on my list back then, was all the expansions, all the different teams. Now everyone has a different team that does different things. Love First and Goal. My number 7.
Number 6.
My number 6 was my number 1, but then I got lost in the Mutara Nebula at some point, and, well, now I just have to wait for Tom to talk about it later.
Isn't this fun to listen to, folks? My number 6 is higher on Eric's list. We are definitely on fire today.
Number 5.
From here on out, everything, my next 5 are ones I didn't have on my previous list, but I can't talk about it right now because Tom has it on his.
All right. Take stock on that. All right. My number 5. Oh, are you kidding me? Also higher on Eric's list. I'll get you.
Number 4.
I get to talk about this one. Flashpoint Fire Rescue is my number 4. Terrific example of the co-op genre. This one sort of takes a jumping off point from Pandemic. Similar style of gameplay, but a lot more chaotic. You don't know exactly what's going to happen, which is exciting. You never know what's going to catch fire or what building portion's going to explode, if that hazardous material container can be taken out of the building before it catches fire. It's a blast, very cooperative feel. You have to work together, use your roles, hop on that truck, fire the water into that quadrant of the building. It's a lot of fun with all the expansion maps, an interesting challenge in each environment you find yourself in. Very fun. Flashpoint Fire Rescue, my number 4.
Yes, this was my number, 6? Yes, I love Flashpoint Fire Rescue. I love the theme. Firefighting is a really cool theme, and yet there's so few games about it. Great game. My number 4 is Core Worlds. This was on my top 10 last year, and this has stayed solid with a really solid expansion. There's actually 2 expansions, but the first one, really solid expansion. I like deck building in general. This took deck building and let you make strategic decisions on how to capture planets. I'm a big fan of the space theme. The artwork was good. I liked the customization that is allowed. Like, I'm playing a very different style deck than the other players. A little too long with 5 players, but really pumps along with 3. I'm very happy with Core Worlds.
Core Worlds I liked. I've only played it the one time, and I feel like this is maybe the game from 2011 that I've just missed. Because it didn't quite latch on in that first play, and I haven't been able to get it to the table since then, and so it hasn't had time to get those roots into me so that I really have been excited to play it again, and I really should force it to the table at some point.
Number 3.
My number 3, Tom alluded to just a moment ago. It was his number 8. That's Risk Legacy. It's actually hard to believe this was 5 years ago. I feel like in my mind that Risk Legacy was closer to today, as we are now talking about the new wave of legacy games. But this is what started it. The concept of taking a game and making permanent changes to it so that all those decisions matter. And the littlest thing, that little decision you made in Game 2, making something that changing the way you play everything from here on out. Plus those various surprises as different triggers happen that also change the game significantly. So that everybody's board by the end of this thing is totally different. My board, after I've played 15 games, looks nothing like, I'm sure, Tom's board. And I still am waiting to play this with the kids with a new set. It's my number 3 and Tom's number 8, Risk Legacy.
Yeah, great game. Certainly, we're rethinking it a lot this year with Pandemic Legacy coming out. But when it came out, this blew everyone's minds. My number 3, this is the last one that I am alone on, and that is BattleCon. BattleCon War of Endines, which they came out with lots of other expansions and things, and they're still pumping out expansions for it. Really enjoy the 2-player. This is Street Fighter as a board game. The best thing I like about this game is just how different every character feels. You have the giant king with a massive sword who just attacks the other person. You have the guy who runs back and shoots and snipes at the other person. You have people with zombies and people with clones and people whose fighting style changes every turn. Pretty neat game. It's very bloated these days, but at the core, it's still a fascinating, fun game. That's BattleCon.
Number 2.
My number 2 was not on my list last time. I just must not have played it yet. I think it came out near the end of the year. King of Tokyo, which was also Tom's number 5. And at this point, King of Tokyo is one of those go-to recommendations for families. If somebody says, I got an 8-year-old, what game do you think they would enjoy? King of Tokyo is almost the first one I mention all the time because of the simplistic mechanisms of rolling the dice. Everybody knows that Yahtzee mechanism, but it's got so much fun as you add cards to your character and get an extra head or 2 tails or explosive fire breath, and it's so much fun. And the different characters, it really gives you a feel for embodying the character that you're being. A blast. King of Tokyo, my number 2.
Yeah, King of Tokyo is just a solid game, easy one to pick. I still like King of New York a lot, but King of Tokyo just and I can't wait to have the Dice Tower monster.
I need one of those.
You do. Now you just have to hope you get one.
Fingers crossed.
My number 2 was Eric's number 6. Previously, his number 1.
Yeah.
And that's Star Trek Fleet Captains, which I think will fall off when they come out with the Star Trek Mage Knight game, right?
It could be. I don't know. I mean, one of the things we loved about this is that it emulates the world of Star Trek so well.
It really does. I mean, they managed to fit everything in there. Then there's 2 expansions for it. There's there's 3 expansions for it. 2 expansions.
There's a Romulan that came with Klingons and Federation, and then you had the Romulans, and then there's a Dominion expansion.
Right. And that's fun because that's pretty much everything from Star Trek. Mm-hmm. And I like the fact that it's one of the few games that makes me feel like you're playing a whole season, not like an episode of Star Trek.
Yeah, because there's lots of different missions. At one point, you may be focusing on battling, and at another point, you're focusing on exploration, or even a pick up and deliver aspect. Length is sort of what has brought this down a little bit for me. These games do take a little while to play. This is not a quick game to bring out.
And also there's the whole, it's 2, maybe 3 players.
Correct. And finally, number 1.
Last up for me doesn't show up on Tom's list, and this most definitely is my number 1 at this point, and that's Eclipse. The resource management 4X game with all the different alien powers that play slightly differently, and you got 3 resources you're trying to manage. You're teching up your ships. The way you get to build all those different ship designs, that's so much fun. You can upgrade a design and then build a bunch more of that design. You can get little zippy fighters that are full of guns, or you can make a giant tanker that has a bunch of hull pieces and can't be shot down easily at all, but then has missiles that shoot out. Oh, man, it's fun. Fun. Eclipse, my number 1.
I like Eclipse. How often do you play this now, though? I'm betting not as much.
That's true. It hasn't hit the table quite as much, but it's still, the app helps a little bit, although the app isn't as great as it could have been. But yeah, it doesn't hit. This is another one, talking about play length, that you need to have reserved an afternoon to play it.
Like a new expansion for this came out this year, and I bet you didn't even look at it.
I do not have the new expansion, no. I still love the game. Maybe I just love it the way it is. I don't want to mess with it.
Yeah, no, I'm not knocking it. I like Eclipse. I'm as in love with it as everybody else was, but I think it's a very strong game, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. And it has, people are still talking about it and playing it 5 years later.
Yeah.
Airlines Europe is my favorite game. It was not in 2011, but it's the one I find myself playing the most and the one I look forward to playing the most. And it's a great stock market re-implementation of Union Pacific from Alan Moon, streamlining it. Oh, it's so good, though. Such a great game. Every time I bring it out, I'm like, yeah, that's why I like this game. Yeah, let's play the stock market. Airlines Europe, just a really solid game.
Yeah, it's my number 5, and for the longest time, I was the Union Pacific staunch supporter. Like, yeah, okay, I understand, it's probably more streamlined, but I'm a fan of the classics. Union Pacific, that's the one in my collection. Then I finally got to play Airlines Europe, and I don't have Union Pacific anymore. It's very well done, and it really does just completely replace that earlier edition. Everything makes much more sense. The production values are stronger. It's an incredibly solid game. I wholeheartedly support your selection there, Tom. It was my number 5.
The Dice Tower's Game of the Year, agreed with Eric, was Eclipse. That was the Dice Tower award we gave out for 2011. Best expansion, the Summoner Wars Master Set, which is amazing.
That was very nice.
Family game, King of Tokyo, would never change that. Art, Lord of the Rings card game, which came out that year, and amazing art. Best reprint, Confusion. It's hard to believe that it's only 5 years ago that Banneker was starting to crawl out of the slime.
Yeah, this was the beginning of Stronghold Games.
Yeah, if only Time Machine, huh? Anyhow.
We could have stopped it.
We had a chance, Eric, and we blew it. Best theme we gave to Flashpoint. Best designer, Kevin Lansing for Flashpoint. We also got Best Small Publisher, Flashpoint. Best party game, Dixit Odyssey, because people were still loving Dixit, and anything that was called Dixit was going to get Best Party Game.
Sure.
Production values, Mansions of Madness. Now, that's a game that's completely fallen off the radar.
I think setup time really killed that game, didn't it?
Maybe. And if you the problem with I think that game is if you set it up wrong, you could mess things over. And there was like a mistake in the rule book and stuff like that.
Ooh.
Innovative game we gave to Risk Legacy. And I will never, that was like the easiest innovative choice I've ever had.
Yes.
Ever. In fact, I think I threatened everyone and said, if you try to vote for something else, I will find you.
And it worked.
I did not really threaten people.
And we had a war game category back then.
Oh, yeah. Few Acres of Snow, which is not broken. But we didn't know it was broken at the time. I still don't know it's broken. I just play the game. All right, let's see what our contributors think.
This is Graham from Four Corners of the Board. I started gaming in 2011, and of course, like all new gamers, I bought a whackload of games then. For me, there are a lot of excellent games in 2011, such as Airlines Europe, Dungeon Pets, which is one I love, Castles of Burgundy, which was always one of my favorites. But, being the Stefan Feld fan I am, I'll have to say Trajan is my number one game from 2011.
This is Jared Whitley with Board Game Breakfast. My top game from 2011 has to be Discworld Ankh-Morpork by Martin Wallace. Easily the best game set in the Discworld universe, at least so far, Ankh-Morpork is an area control game with win conditions based on a hidden identity. There's 7 different characters to play with 5 different win conditions spread out among them. The components are chunky and high quality, while the art is perfectly on brand for everything else from the Discworld universe. Easy to learn and quick to play, this game will transport you to the fabled city of the late great Sir Terry Pratchett's Discworld.
This is Brian from Cult of the Old. This was a very hard choice because there's a lot of really cool games in 20. These go to 11. With head nods to Risk Legacy, Vocabulary, and Trajan, I'm going with Summoner Wars Master Set. It has a real board, slots to store your older sets that you have, and this is just a fun game. This is HeroScape on cards, but it's got an elegant design that's pretty well balanced. And a really cool 2-player game. I enjoy this one a lot.
Hey everyone, this is Tim Jeanette the Metal Meeple, and for me the best game of 2011 goes to Blood Bowl Team Manager, just because it's made it to my top 10. I like it that much. I really like the concepts of what's going on, and I'm not even really that big of a sports guy. But I also want to give a shout out to Mage Knight the board game. I was a huge Mage Knight player back in the day, and I was glad to see it come as a board game and basically come back into existence. But anyway, till next time, keep on rocking and rolling dice.
Dicey Chic here. There are a lot of good games released in 2011, at least 5 that are worth mentioning. Mage Knight board game, Aura and Labora, Ticket to Ride map collection, Volume 1, Team Asia and Legendary Asia, Dungeon Pets, and The Lord of the Rings the card game. Of these, I'd have to say Aura and Labora is my favorite though. I've played it several times. Along with its multiple paths to victory, it has some of my favorite game mechanisms in it, including worker placement, resource management, and a sort of economic development / engine building element.
I'm Isaac Shalev.
And I'm Eric Dewey.
From Onboard Games.
So for me, it's really a tough... there were some great games in 2011, but, Discworld Ankh-Morpork is a real close to my heart type of game. But honestly, I've got to give it to Sentinels of the Multiverse. No game has really hit the superhero genre perfectly like that game has, and with so much flexibility and replayability, I just love it. How about you, Isaac?
My fondest memories come from playing Rhino Hero, which came out in 2011 but didn't hit the US until around 2013. So my choice for best game goes to Eminent Domain, a game which I believe took the deck building concept to its pinnacle and has not yet been matched.
Yeah, I think Don would say it actually made a game out of a deck building mechanic.
Well, I'm Isaac Shalev.
And I'm Eric Dewey.
From Onboard Games.
Hi, this is Marty and Tony from Rolling Dice and Taking Names. So many great games came out in 2011, but I'm going to have to pick the one that I get to play most every year, and that's the Lord of the Rings LCG. I bought it when it first came out in 2011, and I still play it to this day. Great game.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings. You got to love that game, Marty. I agree with you, but let's not also forget about Elder Signs from 2011. For me, that's one of my family's favorite games to still play from time to time.
Hello, Luke from the Broken Meeple here, and for 2011, well... what can I say? 2 games from this year made my top 3 in my top 75. Number 3 in there was Lord of the Rings the card game. Number 2 was a more recent product. And number 1, well, what else? Sentinels of the Multiverse, the definitive superhero co-op game, in my personal opinion, that ticks every single box that I need it to. It's my favourite game of all time, so of course it's going to be the best game, I think, from 2011. You knew it was coming. Sentinels of the Multiverse.
This is Sean.
And Alex.
And we're from the Dukes of Dice podcast, and top game of 2011 for both of us is easily Castles of Burgundy, the Stefan Feld masterpiece.
Components don't live up to how great this game is, but yeah, superb.
King of the point salads, but such an elegant game. And like you said, it looks horrible on the table, but man, such a great game. That's Castles of Burgundy.
Now, this just goes to show how strong a year 2011 was, because there was not a whole lot of crossover there. I guess we saw Sentinels of the Multiverse show up a couple times, but that's a pretty good spread.
I didn't realize Trajan came out in 2011.
It did. I considered it. I think I prefer Burgundy a little bit more. I just played Trajan last weekend.
And Blood Bowl Team Manager, it's hard to believe that game's 5 years old already.
Yeah.
Huh. I still have that one. I like that one. Or in Labora, though, I liked. And it was a great game.
Yep.
But it's hard to compete with Le Havre, Caverna, Agricola.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Well, let's see what the people said. Number 10 for People's Choice was Lord of the Rings card game. Still going strong. Number 9, Airlines Europe.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually really surprised by this one, Eric, because I like the game a lot. I just didn't know it was that publicly liked.
Oh, well, it's well regarded.
8 was Kingdom Builder, which is one that I was not a huge fan of.
Yeah, then that was on my list last time, but it hasn't hit the table very often. I think that may be on the trade pile soon.
Actually, number 8 was actually Summoner Wars Master Set, but I removed that because that's essentially an expansion.
Gotcha.
Then, Risk Legacy number 7, Eclipse number 6, 5, Sentinels of the Multiverse, 4, Takinoko, which I considered for my top 10. Yeah, this is an excellent year. I think if I was ranking the best years of gaming, I think 2011 would be in the top 5. I really do.
Yeah.
So right now, just off the top of my head, it'd be 2004, 2005, 2015, 2011. I'm just guessing that's what it would be.
Okay.
Who knows? I'll probably say that next year. Flashpoint, number 3. Number 2, Castles of Burgundy. And number 1, by a mile, wasn't even close, King of Tokyo.
Sure.
I mean, like, doubled the votes for Burgundy. Well, folks, this show was a little longer than normal, or maybe it wasn't. I don't know.
Not compared to last week.
That's true. We're getting shorter. Well, come back next week for an even shorter episode. Then we'll get back to normal. Hey, folks, don't forget our Kickstarter. Don't forget to tell people. Don't forget to watch our videos. Don't forget to, write in and tell us what you think. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Eric Summerer.
And you've been listening to The Dice Tower.
Thanks for listening. Promotional consideration has been provided by game publishers in the form of review copies of games. This episode, number 439, was recorded on December 29th, 2015. Coming up next week, what is your opinion of the recent Asmodee North America announcement? Find out what our contributors have to say. Support for this podcast comes from listeners like you. Thank you for your continued support and for reaching our first Kickstarter stretch goal in less than a day. The Dice Tower is produced by Tom and me, with production assistance from Jason Thompson, Itai Perez, and Rob Searing. Our theme was composed by Timothy Pinkham. Thor's celebratory toasts provided by Champagnes of Midgard. And hosting is provided by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games at great prices at coolstuffinc.com. We love feedback. Visit the Dice Tower Guild at BoardGameGeek.com. Email us at thedicetower@gmail.com or follow us on Facebook. And of course, you can find more from the Dice Tower Network, including the Out of Game podcast, 20 Minutes of Filler, the Push Your Luck podcast, the D6 Generation, the Geek All-Stars, Blue Peg, Pink Peg, and Dice Tower Showdown at DicetowerNetwork.com. Until next time, from all the gang at the Dice Tower, have fun gaming. So, folks, if you're watching the live feed and the live marathon that I'm involved in, if I start talking about tacos a lot, that means I need help and need rescue.
Can't Future Eric just edit this? No, wait. No, this is going up before that.
Yeah. Future Eric doesn't know. Future Eric can't help me now.
I foiled Future Eric.